Start, I'm going to ask you to stand, please. And we will recite the Rotary motto. Service above self. Okay, please hand over heart, face flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag of the United States of America
and to the
and
republic
the
for which it stands, one nation, under God,
under God,
individual,
indivisible,
liberty and
liberty
justice
and
for
justice
all.
for all.
Okay, and Alan's not here today, but Bill has volunteered to go ahead and.
He told me to do it. That he loves. Okay, I'll give you a choice. Either we would you can do My Country 'Tis the Bee or Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Which would you prefer?
Take me out to the ball.
Take me out
Out to the ball game, take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jack. I don't care if I never get back. No, we're root for the whole team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Okay.
Surprised I remembered the words. I think we sounded better than they did.
Cubs.
Chicago.
Cubs.
The South side was black, and they were Cub fans, and the North side was white, and they were Sox fans. Yeah. Rusty knows. So I was a Sox fan, but I liked Ernie Banks.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Bill. Okay, one more thing, moment of silence, please, for all those we've lost, and
Applesauce.
one club member.
Diane? See what that is?
Oh no, Mark was.
Oh, is that your lunch? I've got one of those too.
His wife Katie was a club member.
Well, I hope you're also using it for what it was intended.
Yeah, that's right.
Very good.
Okay, thank you. We have a guest speaker today, and his name is, and please, Charles, correct me if I say it wrong. Is Charles Polakowski?
Very good.
You got it right.
Any other guests with us today? All right, well, guess what? It's time for lunch. Ladies first, and gentlemen tag along behind.
And our guest.
Our guest, yes, our guest speaker.
Yes.
No, get up there because you're gonna have to speak. Okay, we're going off record. I was told to do this because it's a waste of time.
Agreed.
That's good. Yeah. And then somebody's going to remind you to turn it back on.
That's a Saturday, right, Bill? April 23rd will be the Love Run out of Cape Charles, who starts and finishes right at the Love sign there in the harbor area. At 9:30 a.m., things will kind of kick off. I think the race starts at 10, but they're going to need some help in directing traffic a little bit, helping people out, figuring out where things are, who may be guests in town and so forth. So they're asking us for a little bit of help. Bill, would you want them to alert you that they'll be there or just show up?
If you could at least alert me that you, so I can give our volunteer coordinator, this is being sponsored by Cape Charles Main Street. We've already got 175 registered to run, walk.
Mostly run.
We did this 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So, and it's fun. They have a color spray that you go through, but they need adults that can hold up traffic if needed, because they're going to be crossing over. They're going to be going up Strawberry Street, so they're going to cross over Randolph as well, and then go up to the oyster farm, come back around. So they need adults there, and then they also need some people to work at the water station and at the circle at the oyster farm. So please let me know if you're, be there at 9:30 at the left sign, and it'll be over by 11.
Okay. Thanks, Bill. Also, this coming Saturday, we have another highway cleanup right out here. And I think we've got at least 12 people signed up, right?
Yes, we have 10 plus we have 2 Broadwater students who are coming to join us. If anybody else wants to join us, it's going to be 9 o'clock at the golf cart shop down here. And we will break up in groups. We'll work our way up the street, all the way up or all the way down. And it shouldn't take very long at all. I've got trash pickers. Make sure you wear good shoes. You don't know what you'll find on the side of the road. And gloves. I have some extra gloves. I'll bring them with me. Those
Yeah,
should
and
do
I
it.
checked the 10-day forecast, looks like a nice day Saturday. So please join us, help us out. It's always a fun event. I always wonder when I'm walking along there, we wear orange vests and so forth, what people think that we are
Prisoners.
part of the prison establishment, cleaning the roads. Because they kind of look at it like that, but wear your Rotary outfits, wear a Rotary cap, wear your Rotary shirt, just so there's no confusion. Let's see what else we got. Art raffle. I know Bill's got some thoughts on that.
Yeah, we're really doing well. We're in 3 retail locations, Bowie 56, Brayfields, and the Lemon Tree Gallery. Joan is promoting us in the happenings, so people will know what's going on. Remember, the 20 items are up on our website, and that's
We have 6 people in here.
what was that?
Turn the noise, turn the volume.
Hi, Rick.
Good day, sir.
I think we ought to, right after I finish, Rick, we're gonna ask you to tell us how you're doing. Rick's on. Next Tuesday, I would like you to bring your receipts and your tickets. If you've already sold your quota, which is $100, you can deposit those with me after the meeting. The website, does everybody know the Rotary website?
Okay.
charlesrotary.org. If you go to the website, you'll see the 20 pieces of art that are being raffled. Question. Hey, Rick,
Yes, sir.
we were listening to see how you're doing. An update.
Well, I'm still alive. The tractor trailer's still parked on my chest a lot of times. Don't have any energy per se at all. Haven't actually been outside per se, with the exception of coming home from the hospital. This 5-way bypass, open heart, and I was probably pretty fortunate. I got to go up to Salisbury, where they got that's what the up there is in the top 100 of the nation, which I had no idea. I could not go across the bridge tunnel because the winds were too high for a vehicle and also too high to fly. So they took me up to Salisbury. Got up there probably all around 5 o'clock, 5:30 on a Sunday, on a Tuesday morning, actually, Monday night, Tuesday morning. And then they operated on me per se on Wednesday morning, I believe. And I stayed up there until last Monday. Came home and have been here since last Monday. Like I say, still really haven't been outside or anything else. Can walk up and down steps on a very, very limited basis. Yeah. it's good to be here, but it ain't a whole lot of fun right now.
Well, Rick, it's good to see you again. Fighting. Don't let- Okay, I'm gonna let, Paul talk to us about the open update. And if Mark wants to chime in, let him talk too.
Did you see all that they, Jake Pink said she went
I can't hear Paul.
I can't either.
For a while, I was doing it weekly, and out,
Does he have the mic on?
I can't hear him at all, Diane.
Yeah, we can't hear Paul.
Hear you. You ought to come to the meetings then.
You talk to my doctor.
you hear me now?
Yes.
Tell them to mute themselves.
And until this past week, and then this past week, we saw, well, actually 2 weeks ago, saw a little uptick in Virginia Beach. And this past week, the number of cases in Virginia Beach tripled compared to the week before that. And Virginia Beach, as most of you also know, the CDC level of risk. Most areas considered medium or high risk before have now become low risk because they're looking at hospitalizations and the number of people admitted to the hospital and the number of beds that they have in the hospital compared to their total number of beds, because that's really important in how COVID affects the community. So we've been in the green areas, as has Virginia Beach, for the past month and a half, and we still are there, even though Virginia's had this uptick. Some counties in Virginia have turned yellow, which is medium risk, including up near DC. And y'all heard about all the cases in DC. I heard that there were a number of cases just this week, or maybe that weren't reported last week. Mark, you may know more about this, in Cape Charles. As of last Friday, the number of cases, new cases, Cape Charles was still right around 0. But I heard that there was sort of a rash in some areas. So you may know more about that.
I just heard yesterday the Christian school was closed.
Well, I
COVID,
heard that
but
too.
I don't
They've gone
know
remote
for certain.
learning.
It tells us to close down, but we had kids for class, so
Yeah,
they closed down for this week. We're off break next week.
right.
My grandson had COVID.
Now, whether that gets included, I mean, I think that the numbers that we're seeing reported at the Virginia Department of Health website are probably a significant underestimate of what the number of cases are, because a lot of people just self-test.
Correct.
And those are unique. So, but anyway, how to respond to this, I would just say, if you feel like you're increased risk, we've got face masks at the door now available for you to wear if you feel like you're at increased risk. And I'd also recommend, go along with the CDC recommendations, that you get a second booster if it's been more than 4 months since your last booster. Go ahead, I think everybody in this room, 55, to get a second booster to give you just another margin of protection against this latest wave, which is a BA2, which is a form of Omicron. Any questions
for Paul?
Yes.
Go ahead.
What if you also actually had COVID
And you're fully boosted, vaccinated.
Well, it looks like those people have extra protection. I look at it as having a case of COVID, which I've had, is about the same as getting another booster. And I had it in late January and the mild case, but I've got some symptoms of long COVID, and actually there's a report that was just published in March that long COVID is probably much more common than we realize. Over half of the patients they looked at carefully in that study, there'll be 500 patients that have had COVID, a lot of them mild cases. Over half of them had lasting symptoms up to 10 months, and including extra fatigue, get short of breath more easily than usual, face problems, and brain fog. Those are the 4 symptoms that they saw. So we're getting extra protection. Don't get that case of COVID, even though if you've had the booster, almost surely you're going to have a mild case, as I did. My symptoms lasted only 3 days, but now I've got symptoms of long COVID. So.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Dr. Clark, you want to add anything?
No, just that we're doing the boosters at the office, and I think all the pharmacies are doing them, and I imagine rural health is doing them too. So.
Are you doing the second booster?
Thank you.
Yeah, the second booster.
Betty and Ken, could you please step up here?
Betty?
I'm sorry. Dolores. Betty is.
I'm here.
Betty, you are officially a member today, and next time you show up for the in-person meeting, we'll make sure you get a pin. That's what I'm
Thank you.
right now to Dolores.
Thank you.
Okay.
And to Ken.
Thank you.
And congratulations to both of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
One more announcement.
Yes, congratulations, Betty.
Thank you so much.
I don't know.
3 days.
One more item. I don't think we've had Dave Wilcox up to receive his pin.
Did we not give you a pin yet? Okay, I've got one here, Jim.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Dave.
It's all right. It's all right. He missed a couple of
Dave, if
It's okay.
Come on.
Excuse absence. All good.
Yeah, I was absent at the next meeting.
My oversight. Congratulations, you are very definitely part of the program.
The meeting's still going on.
Dave, right now, is working
I left it.
the reading desk
Yeah, I'm just, I came back.
with Jim's help. And Dolores, Betty, and Ken, you will get your turn
Thank you.
to help out at the desk to greet people, so they get to know you and you get to know them.
Go with that.
All right, next on the agenda, of course, happy dollars. Who's happy today?
I'm happy.
Always happy. Go ahead, Bill.
I'm happy to the tune of $20.
Wow.
Whoa.
All right.
Five for Dolores, 5 for Ken, 5 for Betty, and 5 because I made a commitment last week. I would do $5 for whoever turned up for the crepe myrtle trimming, and Chip Miller showed up. Nobody else showed up. So I feel safe in declaring a $5 next week for all of you who come out and help Jackie and me at Strawberry Plaza when the weather gets warmer, Wednesday, Thursday, probably Saturday after I win the 80-year-old category in the race. Until the drawing. So we really have to push hard. So if you think you can spend a few hours keeping Jackie and me company.
I have a previous commitment.
Yeah. You don't know what it is yet.
give me a call. Write my number down. 390. Come on, start writing it down. 390-7253. And we can just have fun out there sitting in the sun, greeting visitors and loading up on raffle tickets. I think Wednesday, tomorrow will be our first day.
Okay, more happy dollars. Go ahead, John.
I just, first I, but you didn't hear this, I wore this today because Murphy looks so good in my shirt. He's going to get an honorary degree from West Virginia, which is a real degree, unlike that school down there. Anyway, I'm happy Kolakowski's here today. I thought it was going to be next week and I was going to skip, but he's here. I put $5 in for that because he's way different than me. And I have $5. I have several great grand nieces and nephews. Is that right? Great, I'm not sure. Yeah, and this past week, one of my grand nieces gave birth very prematurely to a child who was under 2 pounds.
Wow.
And she's doing okay.
Yeah,
She's
girls
pretty
do good.
pretty much on her own. She's done NICU unit in West Virginia where she's born. and,
Good.
So I'm happy about that.
Oh, that's amazing. I'll tell you, John, in all seriousness, we lost our first daughter. She was born 2 pounds 9 ounces, and she was given a 50-50 chance. This was 1970. And it's amazing to hear this today. If she had been born today, she would be here.
My sister chimed in, and she would be on the great business. But this baby weighs less than a box of Morton salt.
Wow.
That's hard to, I mean, it's just hard to picture.
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy to hear that. That's terrific news.
They have a football team at William Mary?
Yes, they do.
That's right. Oh, and by the way, when I saw a shirt with the WV on it, I thought that was for Western Vagabonds.
I can't let all
Reggie, go ahead.
Yes, I'm sure you all are too far away to see this.
Nice.
Yes.
Is that you as a baby?
These are our great who are hanging out in the community.
Oh.
Well, I was really sitting here trying to think of a really good comeback, but I'll have my comeback something. Because that's when Virginia Tech plays West Virginia in a real stadium.
Not an outhouse?
Yeah. I don't want to take any more time. But also, what John was talking about, about his great niece, my grandsons, as most of you know now, were triplets. They're 18 now, all 3 of them. And they weighed anywhere from 1.7 to 2.2 pounds.
Wow.
They were about 6 weeks premature, but they all kind of grew because all of them are over 6 feet tall now. And one of them 6'3", and he's bigger than me. Not bigger. He doesn't look like this. So that's the one that scored for Virginia Tech. Anyway, that's not bad.
Yeah, my daughter's name is Sean Renee Huber. So she lived today.
Wow.
And there's not a birthday of hers that goes by that I'm not, and actually there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about it. Okay, any more happy dollars? All right, thank you. And we have a guest speaker today. And his name is Charlie Kolakowski, and he's with Northampton County, works out of course, Eastville. And he's going to update us on things going on around the county and Eastern Shore in general. Charlie, if you could, please.
Thank you. I don't know, do I need the microphone? Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, all right. I usually blow out the microphone sometimes. Go on.
Thank you all for inviting me. This is my second time being able to speak to the Rotary. I believe it was like about 3 years ago. Way back when we were all a little bit younger, you know, John had a little bit more hair. Yeah. But overall, the status in Northampton County is pretty good. We've gotten through, you know, the pandemic, the worst of it so far, in pretty good shape. Our revenues are strong. We're seeing some amazing things happening here in Cape Charles in the area here. But we're also seeing that countywide. There's some significant energy and growth throughout the county. And we're seeing strong property values, extraordinary property values here in Cape Charles, but we're seeing strong values throughout the county, which is a really good sign. We're also seeing some renewed energy and some renewed efforts by different groups throughout the county to develop, to redevelop, and to really get back in a positive way what's happening in our county. One bit of great news that we got was that Northampton and Accomack County were the recipients of a BATI grant, about $15 million. Wow. This is a huge thing, and I don't like to use that word, but it's a huge thing. It has transformed our efforts at providing broadband throughout both counties. When this particular project is done, Northampton County will be over 80% wired with fiber optic. Wow. Which is a really big deal. It may actually be higher. We're literally in the process now of counting the houses that will be left uncovered. And to show you how big it is, we couldn't even think about counting the houses before we got this, and we realized the few number of neighborhoods and streets that will be left uncovered after this particular project, which will be about an 18-month project once it starts in June. So during that process, we will be working with the authority and with other private providers to try and identify the areas that are going to be left unserved and try and come up with ways to get them served. We will have some additional funds available through ARPA and other county resources that we can then partner with the broadband authority, possibly with Spectrum, to provide fiber optic and high-speed internet for essentially the entire county. I mean, now there may be some necks and some houses at the end of a mile-long driveway that we can't get to. You know, we're not going to say we're going to spend $30,000 to get one house service. I mean, it's just not practical. It's not real. But we're going to make every effort possible. We've already identified one neighborhood since BATI that we're going to try and get done, and that's going to be the process over the next year and a half, is to start working neighborhood by neighborhood on the unserved areas and try and get them done during that year and a half, possibly the 6 months after that. So that is really great news for the county, for the entire shore. It'll put us in a great position for people moving here, people who are already here, for their ability to work from home, for to have people do distance learning, for our students, if God forbid they have to go back to remote learning, they'll have adequate, they won't have to sit out in a parking lot somewhere and try and do their homework. So this is a really big deal, and it's an exciting issue to come forth, and a lot of work from a lot of people, and we're happy that that's coming through. The other big project that we're still working on, and we're getting very close to a decision-making process, is the high school, middle school modernization expansion project. However, the term is kind of an awkward position, but that has reached final design. They are getting ready to go out to bid. The real concern there is the escalation of prices. It is amazing how prices for everything has gone up, but certainly for school construction. These numbers are approaching the point where it's a real concern. You know, I'm a full supporter of the project. great supporter of education, really think this is important for the county and our students and our community as a whole. But at some point, there's a limit. You can't spend what you don't have, and you can't spend what you can't afford. And it's not the only project the county is going to be facing over the next 20 years. There are going to be other issues. There are other things that we need to work on, and we can't spend it all on one project. And then won't do us any good if then we can't afford to pay our teachers, you know, and our other employees what they need. You know, you spend 75 million on a school, doesn't leave you any money to pay the teachers and the staff that's going to be working you. And it's nice to say, well, you can always raise taxes. Well, there's a limit of that too, and there's not unlimited sources of revenue. But you know, we're looking to see if, you know, where that price is going to come in, and how competitive the bids will be. So keep our fingers crossed, and we're working on controlling the cost there, but also getting an important project done. One issue which is facing both the public and private sector in this area is the ability to attract and retain employees. Very difficult for our companies, very difficult for our schools, for the counties, for municipalities to attract people who are skilled, trained, and experienced to do a whole gamut of work, from teachers to police to doctors to nurses to mechanics. It's just very difficult to attract people here, to retain people. And that's something which is happening all over. So we're not the only ones in that situation, but that is a real concern. There's some efforts out there, and we're working on developing some workforce training, some workforce development. Also working on trying to get attracting and providing incentives for people to come over here and work, or just to stay here. I think one of the things that we really need to work on, particularly when we hire teachers, is to provide a better experience for them here and to provide more incentives for them to stay here. We are well known as the place where teachers come to get their experience that they can take somewhere else and do the job for the rest of their career. It's alarming the numbers that are here and in Accomack. It's actually worse than Accomack, but it's not good here. And that's just not not good for our students, good for our community, when you don't have teachers who are staying here, when you have constant turnover of your staff. We're also experiencing that with sheriff's deputies and with other trained and skilled people, and you get constant turnover when you're constantly hiring new people. You know, you're getting a more and more chance of getting that bad apple to be hired, and they're the ones who are going to cause you problems. And it doesn't develop that sense of commitment to the community and involvement with the students when the teacher comes here and knows they're only going to be here for 2 years. They're just looking to get out. So that's a real issue we're going to be that we're facing, and we're trying to address in a couple areas. Traffic safety issues. It was all in the news last month. It seems like every 6 months or so we have a rash of really bad accidents to bring it to our attention. And then it kind of forget it, you know, our short attention spans. Well, both counties are going to be trying to look to address it in some fashion. It's a multitude of problems. It's people speeding, it's people being on their phones, it's inattentive, it's people under the influence, it's bad design on our roads, it's bad intersections. It's a whole combination of issues, but we really need to try and do it. It's alarming when we have that number of deaths and serious accidents that we have here. It's not good when we have the number of pedestrians which are being hit, you know, on the roads. So that's something that the counties are looking at, and they're going to be trying to work with VDOT to try and address what we can. You can't get in every car and say, get off your darn phone, you know, pay attention, slow down. But and I don't want to solve it by writing tickets for every other person driving through. I don't think that's the best way, but it certainly is effective in slowing some people down. And it's amazing, as many as they write and as many times they're out there, people still come through, and 80, 90, 100 miles an hour. So it's incredible. So that's an issue though that both counties are also looking to do. Community Center. We were the recipients of a $2 million grant to help convert the old Machapongo Middle School into a community center with a focus on the funding being for the setting up of an emergency shelter. We've been using our high school and also sending most of them in a serious storm up to Nandua, up into Accomack. This project, which will put a new roof on, provide an emergency generator and updated air conditioning and heating in about a third of the building, will enable us to use that portion for providing shelter in case of an emergency for certain numbers of people from Northampton County. Big thing for me is that we don't have to shut down our schools while we're providing shelter. You know, if all of a sudden we have a situation where 30 or 40 families need to be evacuated, well, we can put them up there. We don't have to shut our schools down for a week, you know, while we're setting up the shelter, while we're have the people there, and then while you clean it afterwards. Our kids are getting enough disturbances in their education. We don't need to do that. This will put up that building as an emergency shelter. It's also providing expanded recreation programs. All recreation officers are now over there, and they're providing summer camps there and other services. And eventually, you know, we're hoping to make it into a true community center with business development, training for EMT services, entertainment and cultural opportunities. So it's a really good first start. And you know, thanks to the state for providing some much needed dollars to do that. The other issue, which is really facing us, and it's almost nationwide, is affordable and workforce housing. I can't go anywhere without getting people talking about it, business people, residents. It's an issue facing people everywhere. And I really wish there was a shelf I could reach up and get the plan that would solve it. But it's really proven to be a very difficult issue to deal with. There's a lot of people in this area that are involved with it. Some of them in this room here that are, I think, realizing, saying, wow, this is not just as simple as saying, well, let's get a grant and, you know, all of a sudden we can build, you know, 6 houses and we're done. Well, we got a grant to build 6 houses and we're not even close. We got a grant to build another 6 houses. We're still not even close. This is a problem which has, again, a number of causes. Soaring costs of construction, price of lumber, price of materials, even the availability of materials. It's just not there. No matter what you want to spend on it, it's just not there. The lack of contractors that people say, well, I hope you're using local labor. Well, if they were there, we would use them. They're just not there. And the ones that are there are working building $600, $700 million homes. Well, that's great. And you know, God bless them, they deserve to have their house, but there's no one left, and there's nobody building $300,000 houses, $200,000 houses for people who, you know, our workforce, our teachers, our cops, our managers, or a lot of the people who work here and provide all the services. Well, no one's building those type houses, or very few of them anyway. And what's happening is the people on the lower end are being squeezed because the people in the middle are stepping down, saying, well, this is all I can find, and I got to have a place to live. So I'm moving into a house that's below what I can afford. That's the only thing I can find. And that means the lower income people are being squeezed out even further. So it hurts everybody. It's not a one step that, well, all you gotta do is this and you'll solve it. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of involvement, a lot of investment. There are people working on it. I mean, the AMPDC, the Planning Commission, has a grant. They're doing 6 houses. Well, you know, when you need hundreds, 6 is a nice small step, but it's a really small step. You know, New Roads is doing their project, you know, but again, 6 houses. They're hoping to do more, but there's just such a demand that we really need to try and incentivize private investment, private developers, private builders to come in and really give a big shot. Working on a couple different projects, the project in Eastville about providing, building some apartments potentially, which would help. And every little bit helps, but this is an issue which is really impacting us. It's impacting the public sector, it's impacting the private sector. People in the businesses here, their workers can't find places to live. And if they're having to live 45 minutes to an hour away, they're looking for a job that's closer. They'll stay over there rather than make the long drive over here. And it's catching up to us now where and again, it's everywhere. It's not just here, but it's been coming here for a long time. The housing stock is older. Some of them are in poor condition. Some of them lack the amenities that people are looking for. You know, someone looking to buy a house now, I have more than one bathroom in a 4-bedroom house. I mean, that's the expectation now. They don't, you know, they certainly expect to be air conditioned. And that's not what you're finding with a lot of the housing. And that's not the solution to say, well, we have looking for, and then to try and renovate it and bring them up to the standards, not affordable anymore. So big issue, a lot of people working on it. Certainly welcome any kind of input from people. But it's probably, you know, between workforce and workforce housing, probably the biggest issues facing us right now on making the county and the whole Eastern Shore sustainable. Sir.
A comment and a question regarding hitting pedestrians. I was coming here this, and if I were not a good driver, I probably could have run him over, and it happened to be John. Okay, and that's the school that I went to as a high school student back in the 60s.
Yes. Yeah. And hopefully we'll be going forward.
Is Parks and Rec
there for about a year.
Okay, Chuck, before somebody else.
So, is the county effort that may be popping up here, or do you have any updates on what's happening along the former railroad?
Well, there's actually a portion here from Cape Charles out to Route 13. That was the recipient of a 2.3 in some fashion. So there'll have to be, you know, what regulations and rules will be on that particular structure. And then you have the rest of the proposed rails to trails, which is not directly funded in the House budget, but it is directly funded in the Senate budget. And where those two meet, we won't know for several weeks at least. But that will involve not only the county, but the towns and a lot of private property owners as you go along the route. So
I know part of that is utility right of way as well, to be built along with the rail trails effort. So it's a lot of
moving parts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Charlie, what's going on with the?
Oh, look, these people just interrupt. They don't pay attention to hands that are raised.
Yeah.
Yes, how much did Northampton County receive in ARPA funds, and is there any left? And is there a deadline for what's left to be used?
We received about $2.2 million. A substantial portion of that has been dedicated towards providing broadband out to county residents. Again, we just are receiving the information now within this past week, literally that, you know, what's being covered, and saying, okay, now we have a much better handle on how much we're going to need. So that's one of our focuses over the next, I'd say about 3 months, is going to be really working within those areas that aren't covered by the VATI grant, and saying how much of the ARPA money are we really going to need to commit and reserve to get those areas served. And then if there's any money left over, we'd be able to open that up for other purposes throughout the county. But that was a commitment by the board to say, we really need to get this committed. And now that we know where it's going to be going, okay, now we can really start saying, okay, how much do we really need of that? So, and maybe all of it when it comes down to it, but